This is Chicago's very own WGN News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Ray Cortopassi.
And I'm Lourdes Duarte in for Micah Mater. We are starting with breaking news today. The Associated Press reports former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been stabbed by another inmate. This happened today, just after noon, at the federal prison in Tucson, Arizona. According to the report, prison employees performed, quote, life-saving measures before the inmate, which is presumed to be Chauvin, was taken to a hospital. It is the second major incident to occur there in just a little over a year. Sources say the prison has been plagued by security lapses and staffing shortages. Chauvin is serving a 22-year sentence for the murder of George Floyd.
Very own WGN News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Ray Cortopassi.
And I'm Lourdes Duarte in for Micah Mater. We are starting with breaking news today. The Associated Press reports former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been stabbed by another inmate. This happened today, just after noon, at the federal prison in Tucson, Arizona. According to the report, prison employees performed, quote, life-saving measures before the inmate, which is presumed to be Chauvin, was taken to a hospital. It is the second major incident to occur there in just a little over a year. Sources say the prison has been plagued by security lapses and staffing shortages. Chauvin is serving a 22-year sentence for the murder.
Haha, muted. Sorry about that. Bam. No longer muted, no longer silenced, right? So, Mr. Chauvin has found himself in trouble again, right? I think I got it. You got it. Can you hear me now? Let's see. I'm good? Okay. So Mr. Chauvin's found himself in trouble again, right? This is the same guy who obviously got arrested, sentenced to 20 some odd years for ending the life of George Floyd. In one way or another, they found this man guilty, whether you believe him to be innocent or not. This man has been found guilty of taking the life, unduly taking the life of George Floyd. And so now he is a target. He's still a cop inside of the federal prison system. And so what now? Can these people make it? Can people that are marked like this, who everybody knows who they are, can they really make it? And this always makes me think back to makes me think back to this story of this dude that they used to call Gangster Phil. And he was in Sterling Correctional Facility. And Gangster Phil was he liked grape juice, let's put it that way. And he was drinking a lot of grape juice in Boulder, Colorado in the 90s. And he attacked several females, college students. They were up there, drug them in the woods, and handled business, right? Well, they eventually caught him. And they gave him a long time. I'm not sure exactly how long he had. I'm pretty sure it was all day, though. And but he was so high profile that they took him and they put him in CSP. And CSP is Colorado State Penitentiary. This is where I was. It's the level 5, it's the Supermax. So you can get to the Supermax by being extremely high profile, just like this guy, right? Like Mr. Chauvin. Or by acting up, or on death row. It's where they keep death row too. So this guy Phil had been in CSP. They put him in CSP in the hole for years. And he spent his first like 6 or 7 years running his mouth to every high-power individual that he could find. He didn't care. He just sat behind his door, just talking crazy to people, just calling them all kinds of names and rats and bitches and punks, and thinking that nobody was ever going to, he was never going to be held accountable for what he was saying. So after about 7 years, the cops, I guess someone in the administration, someone in classification decided we need to start integrating this dude back into society, back into at least prison society. So they released him from the level 5, which was CSP, to a level 4, which Sterling Correctional Facility houses 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but they released him down into the level 4. And that's where I met him. And he, this dude looked like a skinnier version of Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. He even had the same look on his face, but he looked terrified. He was terrified. And there was a reason that he was terrified, because he was victimized a lot. And the weird thing is that the people in power, even though he had spent all them years calling people all kinds of bitches and hoes and everything else behind the doors, they didn't feel that the worst thing to do was to make him leave the yard. They felt the best thing to do was to keep him on the yard and victimize him. And so this guy lived in a constant state of fear. And he would watch people through his huge glasses. He would watch people walking around the pod. Like if you walked past him, you'd see his eyes and he'd, you know what I mean? And he would watch everybody keep his back to the wall because he had been victimized so many times that he was used to it. And he was just terrified all the time. Like if somebody fucked up, like if one of the little homies fucked up or something, you could just be like, well, just go fuck Phil up. And they would just go beat up on Phil, you know what I mean? Go sock Phil up or something like that. And the cops, they didn't want to take him out of there because at the same time that he was talking all that shit to all them high power individuals, and whenever he was in the penitentiary in the level 5, he was talking shit to the cops too, and he was causing a bunch of problems for the cops too. What he was trying to do was cause so much problems back there that they'd never let him out. He figured he would just talk crazy to everybody. He'd get all these separations, all these high-powered people want to kill him, and that he'll just talk crazy to the cops and they'll never have to let him go. And the cops were like, fuck it, the best thing we could do is just put him in population. So they wouldn't let him check in. They wouldn't let him roll it up. They wouldn't let him do nothing. He was stuck on them yards. And he would get victimized. Dude would get victimized a lot. And there was no way he could ever get away from what he had done because they had some word for him. The you know what I mean, the Boulder Grapist or something like that. They had a word, like he was in the news, put it that way. He had attacked so many women, and they were all college co-eds, right? So it's like the co-ed strangler or something like that, you know what I mean? And he had attacked so many women, so many co-eds that he had made the news. So they had they're telling women to walk with to make sure they got their dogs with them and their friends with them and da-da-da, and teaching self-defense and everything else, right? All because of this one dude. So he was just too high profile. So whenever he got to prison, there was nothing they could do. And even after all them years, he was still he had spent all that time talking crazy to people. Now, I don't know if Chauvin's in there talking crazy to people like that. Who knows how Chauvin, maybe he got comfortable. Some people get comfortable. You know what I mean? He could have got in there. He gets in there low security. He's feeling himself a little bit. He hits the weights a little bit. Somebody challenges him to a fight. He wins one. You know what I mean? He wins a couple, starts strutting around thinking he's cool. You never know. You don't know. You don't know the dynamics of prison. And it sounds like, from what I could tell, he was on some sort of sensitive yard anyway. It wasn't basically what you would consider like a mainline yard anyway, which I wouldn't expect him to be. He shouldn't be on a mainline yard. That would be stupid. Let's see, Mario. Hell yeah. Yeah, he shouldn't be. It would be stupid for him. Yeah, officer down, exactly. it would be stupid for him to be on a mainline yard, right? So he's most likely on some sort of sensitive yard. But the thing is with sensitive yards is people think of it, they say, oh, there's these bitch-ass fools over there. There's these coward fools over there. Yeah, there is. But there's also people who are the exact same people who were gangsters. You know what I mean? Like, there might be some fools who got scared or whatever. They say, I don't want to die or whatever. They get tired of it. God only knows what. You can get crossed out for all kinds. You can get crossed out for being a dope fiend. You can get marked no good just because, you know what I mean? You can go to prison for being a dope fiend and fucking up. Like, because in your hood, okay, I'll tell you like this. You could be a dope fiend in your hood, right? And as long as you're not, like, ripping off the homies and shit like that and, like, stealing from the homies' moms and stuff like that, for the most part, you probably be all right. You know what I mean? Your hood's not going to... As long as you're not burning your hood, you could pretty much be a dope fiend if you want to. If you want to go get high, whatever, man. It's on you. As long as you're not ripping off the homies and shit like that, they're going to talk shit to you. Maybe they don't trust you or they don't hang out with you that much, but it's kind of on you if that's what you want to do, you know? This is for most gangs, but you can live like that around your hood, be a dope fiend, everything's good, you go to prison, and then continue the behavior that you've always continued because you're a dope fiend. Continue that behavior in the joint, and then all of a sudden you're marked out. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? What do you mean you got a bunch of dope and can't pay for it? What do you mean? You know what I mean? Oh, I'll put something together like you would do for your homeboys, right? You owe your homeboy some money. You're like, well, I'll go steal some shit or something like that, or I'll fucking make it right? I fucked up. I'll make it right. You know what I mean? And then you try that shit in the joint, the same dope fiend shit that you've always tried. You try that shit in the joint, and now you're marked out. Are you any less of a man because you got marked out? Because you got removed or took out? No. So you got to think of those sensitive yards like that. Do they have hoe-ass fools? Yeah, they're there. But there's a bunch of dangerous dudes there, too. A bunch of dangerous dudes there, too. Good look at Weavis. Hell yeah. Boston Boss dropped a dope short music video. Did he? Should we check it out? Hold on. He was a punk? Is that what you said, Rocky? Who was a punk? What do you think? Do you know what? Do you know exactly what a punk is? Does everybody know what a punk is? Because a punk has a technical term. Punk is a technical meaning. I hear people say it a lot, and I just want to know, does anybody know what an actual punk is? Can anybody tell me in the comments what a punk is? Fedder's got $10. Weavis. Punk is my ex-husband. There we go. We got one answer. Good answer. Good answer. All right. Well, a punk has a technical meaning. It is an actual thing. Punk is an actual thing. That is a man who is being used as a woman by another man. It has an actual technical meaning. This is why you don't call a bitch is a motherfucker who's not a man. That's what you're saying. Whenever I call you a bitch, I say you're not a man. You're like a female, homie. You're a female. In the grand scheme of things is what I'm saying. I'm saying in the grand scheme of the dynamics, homie, I might as well consider you a female. You know what I mean? I don't need to worry about whatever you would do. That's what being a bitch, that's why being a bitch is so disrespectful. That's why it's fighting words right away. And being a punk is a man who is used as a sex toy by another man. That's what it is. It has a technical definition, technical meaning. Right? This is why it's so offensive to say that shit to people. Let's see. Maybe maybe somebody was boning him. Maybe somebody was. I mean, we're getting off into theories there, but my Cash App's on the screen, my homie. Gangish 5555, Venmo 2, and I need to switch out that PayPal too. Bam. Yeah, Cash App on the screen, my homie. Let me get some coffee. This coffee's good. Oh, shit. He's matching up with a dub. We got a dub coming through. I think there's something coming through over here on Cash App. Bam. Boom. Big Weavis coming through. Good looking. I got a woman talking shit to me too about Instagram. Man, I finally Instagram. I downloaded it on my phone and it's already kicking my ass, dog. I already couldn't figure it out. I got some videos with no sound for some reason. How the hell I got videos with no sound? Boom. Joseph Michael sent $10. Good looking. Hell yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you guys, man. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you. You don't understand. I had to reset myself today and really think and be like, what am I doing? Because I have to go from a different mode. I've been in a bad mode, my homie. I've been in a mode where it's like, I'm trying to like, okay, get this done. Okay, get that done. Okay, get this done. Okay, get this done. And it's like, I got to switch from that. I got to back up, homie, and I got to see everything. You got to see everything. Focus on everything. Thank you, my homies. I appreciate you. I see you guys is coming through. Thank you. You guys are awesome, my homie. Thank you. Good looking. And I got to back up. Homie, I got to back up off it. I talked to my homegirl. She's like, you need a job? She's like, you're looking for a job, fool? She knows how much experience I got. I was like, yeah. She manages a spot. She was like, she's like, fool, I got as many hours as you need. She's like, don't even worry about that. You're good. She's like, we'll get you hired ASAP. I got as many hours as you need. She's like, so don't be worrying about not being able to pay for your shit or whatever. You know what I mean? She's like, don't sweat that. That was cool. That was nice. It just came out of nowhere today. She was like, hell yeah, I'll hire your ass. She's like, I already know. But this dude, was he a punk? I don't know. You know what I mean? But, okay, so what they said was, they said that fool got hit. We know this fool got hit. They're not denying that it was him. So we're almost positive, like 98% positive that it was Chauvin is the one who got hit. They said they had to flight him out of there, right? They had to flight him out of there. Or something like that. He said they had to, they keep saying the cops had to take life-saving procedures or some shit like that. I don't know what that means. Does that mean what? They dropped a tourniquet or something like that? Tied off a tourniquet? That's what it keeps saying. Hold on, let's get the what you call. Let's pull this up real quick and see what it's talking about. There's a couple different. Let's see what this one's talking about.
The hospital after being stabbed by a fellow inmate at an Arizona prison. Chauvin, who is serving time for the 2020 murder of George Floyd, is seriously hurt but is expected to survive. Chauvin has been at the medium security prison in Tucson since August. Before that, he'd been at a maximum security prison in Minnesota, where he mostly been kept in solitary confinement for his own protection.
Solitary confinement. Hold on. Let's run that back a little bit. Hold on.
Is expected to. Chauvin who was stabbed by a fellow inmate at an Arizona prison. Chauvin who was serving time for the 2020 murder of George Floyd, is seriously hurt but is expected to survive.
So they got him good, but seriously hurt doesn't really mean much. That could just be a good stab wound. A stab wound is seriously hurt. But they did say something about having to do life-saving procedures.
Chauvin has been at the medium security prison in Tucson since August. Before that, he'd been at a maximum security prison in Minnesota, where he mostly been kept in solitary confinement for his own protection.
So they had this fool in solitary, and then the minute that they let him out, that fool gets cracked. Hold on.
Next, U.S. media says the former Minneapolis police officer who was convicted of murdering George Floyd in 2020 has been stabbed in prison. Derek Chauvin is reported to be seriously injured. The Bureau of Prisons confirmed an inmate had been assaulted. Chauvin is serving several long sentences over the death of George Floyd. With more, let's go live now to Sancha Burke in the newsroom. Sancha, what's the latest?
Well, as you would expect, because it's overnight in Arizona, still the middle of the night. There hasn't been any update, but as you were saying, it was around 12:30 yesterday, according to American media reports, that an inmate named by the New York Times and by Associated Press as Derek Chauvin, was attacked by another inmate, and he was taken, according to report, Chauvin, today, according to American media reports, that an inmate named by the New York Times and by Associated Press as Derek Chauvin, was attacked by another inmate, and he was taken, according to reports, to hospital for a named by the New York Times and by Associated Press as Derek Chauvin,
Fucked your whole day up.
was attacked by another inmate, and he was taken, according to reports, to hospital for further assessment and treatment. So that was what was reported in the US press yesterday, and that's what we're waiting an update on. It's worth bearing in mind that, of course, Derek Chauvin was found guilty of the murder of George Floyd back in May 2020. That murder, filmed by a bystander, prompted protests worldwide, calling for racial justice and also focusing on the conduct of the police. So Chauvin had been in a federal penitentiary. He'd been moved there to Arizona. In fact,
what do you think? She just said it. She said it sparked protest worldwide, and it did. What this guy did, the choices that this guy made, sparked protests all around the world. And Black Lives Matter stole a bunch of money and convinced a bunch of people to burn a bunch of stuff down in the process. I don't know. They're not. I haven't gotten any on how many times he got hit yet. I don't know. All it keeps saying is says, Diddy, what up? It says, it says he got hit, that it was serious, that the wounds were serious, and that that he was hospitalized, and that they had to perform life-saving procedures, is what they said. But you don't know what that means. That could be something stupid. That could be like, oh, he nicked his vein or something, and then they put a tourniquet on it or something dumb. Or God only knows. They propped his head up. You know what I mean? Raised his foot and propped his head up. I don't know. The cops like to blow themselves anytime they get a chance. Yeah, that fool got. Hey, man. And pretty much, he's so much of a target. And okay, I'm going to make a guess here. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. And I don't talk about race much. But I'm going to make a prediction. I have a feeling the person who attacked him is black. Because they haven't mentioned the person's race once. And I feel like they would have ran with that if it was a white dude who did it. So I have a feeling this is a black dude. And it would be hard for me to imagine the black dudes on any yard letting this dude walk the yard. Even if it's a dropout yard, if there's any sort of structure at all, one of the black dudes is going to get at him. They're not going to let him around, And there's less structure on those dropout yards. You got more structure on the higher up yards that are GP. You know what I mean? You get to those lower yards like that, the structure can either be there or it can be complete trash. But I just don't see any black dudes that are worth a shit leaving him on the yard. Yeah, I can't see it. Frank, what up? Diddy, good to see you. Yeah, well, they're going to... Oh, well, we'll see what they do with him on this. How is that? He's in prison for murder. Wonder why he's on a medium yard. Yeah, but it goes by. It doesn't like you can only give somebody so many perms for murder. You know what I mean? And then he's only got 21 years. That's your those are your biggest determining factors, and if they give you your points for murder, as long as you stay out of trouble, those are going to start coming down, right? There's points that just naturally come down, and there's points that come down for not being in trouble. Your points will naturally just start coming down, and all those come back whenever you fuck up again. Because they're points that are correlated with being out of trouble for lengths of time. You'll get negative points for being out of trouble for lengths of time. And then you'll get points correlated with how many years you have to the parole board and all that shit. Well, in the feds, they don't really have a parole board. So it's how many years you have till you're done, till your release date. And that fool's only got a 22, right? I think he's got like 22 and a half. They said he's got a 20. He's either got a 21 and a 22 running bow-legged. So he's either got 43 or he's got 22. I couldn't tell. By the way, I read it a couple times and I couldn't honestly figure it out. Because they never clarify whether it's consecutive or concurrent. I haven't been able to figure it out yet. Yeah, exactly. Imagine doing something so stupid it affected the whole You fucked up bad, dog. This fool fucked up real bad. I mean, hey, dog, that fool's wife left him in like 2 days, dog, after George Floyd died. That fool's wife left him. This fool's wife left. I mean, what the fuck? And then they showed his wife and she looked like a supermodel. That fool was tripping anyway, dog. You don't marry bitches who look like that. You see his wife? Let's look up his wife. Let's look up this fool's ex-wife. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, yeah, she was an Asian one, too. Not really a supermodel, but she was good. Oh, yeah, she was good. Yeah, let's see. Let's pull her up. We'll pull her up real quick. Look at this bitch. She was a beauty queen. She was Miss Minnesota. You don't marry women like that, dog. You know what I mean? She was gone, homie, in like 3.2 seconds, dog. Whenever, whenever that happened. Let's see. Bam. Let's see. Put that in there. There we go. Did I just break that? I wonder. No, I didn't. Bam. That fool was asking for it, dog. At least he didn't get the broomstick. Like, what's his name? Like, what the hell's his name? Jeffrey Dahmer? Jeffrey Dahmer got the broomstick, Gotta look on the bright side. Nah, man. This fool, man. This woman filed for divorce immediately. She didn't even try. She didn't even try to stick by that fool, nothing. This fool fucked up big time, right? Like, you really fucked up. That is funny, too, that you bring up that broomstick. Because I can remember reading a book. I've got a book in there. It's called My Friend Dahmer. And they made us read it. It's a cool book. And there's a quote that Jeffrey Dahmer gives whenever he gets arrested. And he gets his free phone call. And he calls his father. And his dad answers the phone. And he tells him, man, he tells his dad, he's like, Dad, I really fucked up this time. You know? And it's like the same thing, dog. Like, you fucked up. You know? But that ain't nothing compared to what this fool did. You know what I mean? Jeffrey Dahmer ate a bunch of people. It ain't nothing compared to what Chauvin did. Stupid. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys think this fool's... What do you think? A lot of the country doesn't really believe this fool's guilty. Honestly, it does say in their in their little, like, that fool was following. He was following police procedure, unfortunately. That's kind of what they do. If you struggle with them, that's what they do. You see it on every Cops episode ever. They pile on you, a bunch of them. That's one of their main tactics, is to smother you. They smother you with force. You know what I mean? And this keeps them, in theory, they should be able to, if there's 4 of them, they should be able to smother you and not have to beat the fuck out of you to apprehend you, right? Because if it's one person and you're going one-on-one with somebody, you might have to really put a hurting on them to put the handcuffs on them. But if you got 3 or 4, then you can get a hold of somebody and put the handcuffs on them, right? But so you know what they do. They're going to pile on you every time. They're going to pile on you like that. And that's it. Until they stop struggling, you're supposed to keep supposed to keep your knee on them like that. And now, so what they're going to do is they're going to put this fool in jail for following the standards that they taught him. And then they're going to change the standards and say, oh, these police need new training. Well, that fool was doing what you guys told him to do. They were their little statute says, keep your shit on them until they stop struggling. Well, that fool kept struggling because he was dying and seizing out. Now, is that this fool's fault for not paying attention to the fact that this fool was dying? Yeah. I think that as an emergency responder, the way that you are as a cop, you have a responsibility to pay attention to what's going on beneath you. If you have somebody's life in your hands, if you put somebody in a chokehold, it's now your responsibility if that person dies because you applied the chokehold wrong, right? If you're going to take on that responsibility and put somebody in a maneuver that could kill them, if it's done improperly or if it's done too long, you're now adopting responsibility, right? So if you're going to put your knee on this fool's back, neck, back, wherever, doesn't matter. You can put it on his neck and it probably wouldn't depress your lung as much as putting it on your back. If you put it on somebody, put all your weight on somebody's lungs, that's where it gets hard to breathe, really. You know what I mean? Is up there on their back. So where he put it, it doesn't, I don't know that it's really relevant as far as neck or back or whatever. You have a responsibility to make sure that that person can breathe. You know what I mean? If you're gonna get on top of this person and stay on top of this person for an extended period of time, you have a responsibility to make sure that that motherfucker stays alive. If you're gonna be putting him in a restraint like that, and then you say, "Oh, well, he ate some drugs," well, then you have some extra fucking responsibility, right? That's what they tried to say. They say, oh, well, he was on drugs, or we thought he was on drugs. Then you had even more of a responsibility to know that something could happen to him, right? Then there was even more of a red flag that this dude's heart could give out, or that something could happen, right? So I never thought, for me, that never seemed like a good defense. Whenever they said, oh, well, he was on drugs. Oh, he's on drugs. Well, then you guys really should have known. Then you should have handled it a lot better, right? Then you should have known it wasn't just a person. You know what I mean? Just a person that was freaking out. This was a person who was in distress, who was having a fit because he was on drugs. So you had, but he dropped the ball. I don't know if 20 years is appropriate. That might be heavy. And the honest truth is he won't do 20 years. Because that's just the way that things go. Whenever situations like this happen. Trump might come along and pardon him. Because if Trump gets back in, you can guarantee that there will be somebody that has Trump's ear. Probably somebody in the police union that will be like, hey, it'd be a really good look if we got this dude out. You know what I mean? Because we're due for a Republican. Put it that way. We're due for a Republican president. It's about that time for the pendulum to swing back. So it wouldn't surprise me if towards the end of the next right? If a Republican gets in, it wouldn't surprise me towards the end of it if this is one of the pardons that you see. I wouldn't expect this dude to do his whole 20 years. If anybody wants to jump up, come on. If anybody got an opinion on Mr. Chauvin, I'm sure people do. I know people do. It's a hot topic, and like you said, there was worldwide riots about this shit. People feel all kinds of ways. What's cool about this topic too is that there doesn't seem to be a through line as far as like, it's not something where you can, like, it's like abortion. You can generally tell where people are going to lie on, like, abortion, generally. You know what I mean? Or a lot of different topics. This one's weird. You'll hear all kinds of different people like, nah, fuck that dude. And then black people and white people will be like, nah, fuck that dude. That dude's a piece of shit. And then the other way, too. You know what I mean? I see people, they call that fool Fentanyl Floyd. All kinds of shit. Saint Floyd. Did you guys see that George Floyd mural got hit by lightning? You guys ever see that? Like, they painted that big ass mural, big old George Floyd mural, by where he died, and then it got hit by lightning and lit on fire. That shit was crazy. Boom. And Barry Woods hitting the link. No, but I don't know. This might be good for his case, right? If we're going to be honest. This might end up being good for his case for saying, hey, you guys need to let me out. Because he's already fighting to get himself out. He's been fighting to get himself out, been trying to get himself out. He's saying that he felt the trial was a sham, right? He just had this interview, and he says, well, the trial was a sham. The trial was BS anyway. And he says exactly kind of the same thing I'm saying, is like, I was following protocol. I did the things that I was trained to do. I did the stuff I was supposed to do, that they told me to do, right? So that's his defense. And I think he has a strong one. I think he has a strong one on appeal. And it wouldn't surprise me to see his stuff get overturned later on. But you got to pay. Whenever a situation like that and the public is out for blood like that, and they were, you know what I mean? Because they know what the repercussions would have been if they would have found that fool not guilty. They were like openly, they were openly threatening the play. They had politicians openly threatening that bitch, what's her name? Was it Maxine Waters? I think Maxine Waters was talking about fucking the place up, tearing the place down or something like that. If we don't get the verdict we want. Or no, she said if we don't get the verdict we want, there will be no peace. That's what she said. She's openly telling these fools to burn the place down. You know what I mean? So they knew. And that's another thing that could be brought up. I would bring it up. I don't know if they're going to allow him to, but I would bring it up. If I was his, that would be one of my, who knows, maybe they felt out that course of law, you know what I mean? And said, okay, well, Maxine Waters said this, we have to prove this, da-da-da-da-da. And maybe they felt out that course of law and decided that that wasn't the best one. Because you kind of have to do that. You've got to decide what's standing, on what grounds you have standing, and then you have to pursue in that direction. You can't just do a blanket. People be like, well, why are you going to sue him? And they'll like, oh, well, he did this and this and this and this and this. And then they give this big old list of shit. It's like, no, homie, you gotta, there has to be a certain law or a violation of rights, you know what I mean? And then you have to follow the statute, and it has to be done in a certain way. You have to have standing to even bring shit. Were you harmed? Are you one that was harmed by this situation? Can you prove that? Da-da-da-da-da. So, OJ Krupp barely would. Barleywood. Stupid. They gonna kill me. That's funny. Let's see. Fanny's got mixed feelings. Let's see. Someone's having a medical. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Okay, so Timpa is his name? Something Timpa. There was a white guy. This happened to a white guy in Arizona. And I'm thinking his last name is Timpa. And it happened before George Floyd happened. And it's actually even worse, if we're going to be honest. And Tony Timpa, I feel like. Let me look that up. Okay, so what happened is that homeboy had he was a schizophrenic and had an episode. He wasn't on drugs. He wasn't on anything. He just had an episode. And somebody called. He was having an episode just out running around in the streets. And yeah, it is Tony Timpa in Dallas. Let's see, Tony Timpa. I believe it's Dallas. Tony Allen Timpa, an unarmed 32-year-old man, was killed in Dallas by officer. Okay, this is from 2016. I'm going to pull this up. And we'll go over this a little bit. And this is the exact same thing that happened to George Floyd happening to a white guy who did nothing wrong at all, was literally just having an episode. He didn't have any fake money. He wasn't on drugs. He didn't have drugs in his system. He wasn't doing any of that. So, here we go. On August 10th, 2016, this is according to Wikipedia, Anthony Tony Allen Timpa, an unarmed 32-year-old man, was killed in Dallas, Texas by police officer Dustin Dillard. Officers had responded to a call by Timpa. He called the cops himself, requesting aid for a mental breakdown due to the fact that he had not taken his prescription medication for schizophrenia and depression. Dillard pushed his body weight onto Timpa on the ground for around 14 minutes after he was already restrained. Officers ignored pleas from Timpa that he was in pain and afraid he was going to die. Timpa's death was ruled a homicide due to the stress of being restrained and extreme physical exertion. Homicide just means that one person died because of somebody else's actions. No criminal charges just because you have a homicide doesn't mean that you file charges. Put it that way. No criminal charges have been filed, but in 2021, a judge ruled that a wrongful death lawsuit filed by Timpa's family had merit. Were they wronged? Do you have standing? Do you have merit? And can go to trial. So a judge finally ruled that they had been wronged. That it was possible that their lawsuit says that there was merit that they had been wronged. Timpa was a 32-year-old American trucking company executive from Waukwall, Texas. He had called 911 for aid, telling the dispatcher he had schizophrenia and depression, but had not taken his prescription medication. And this is... Things like this have been happening for so long, and the cops were never held accountable. And what happened is that all that pressure built up for the hundreds and hundreds of people, maybe thousands, I don't know how many, of people who were wrongfully, beaten and killed and brutalized. And there was never, Rodney King, we're talking Rodney King, if you guys remember that. I can remember that video. I remember watching the video of them beating this dude with fucking nightclubs for minutes. Just basically him rolling around on the ground, and I think at first he was wrestling with another cop, is what it was. That's whenever they started beating him. And then towards the end, it was just basically him rolling around on the ground while they beat him with nightclubs. And then he was good. Then again, they didn't beat him to death. You know what I mean? So, stuff like this has always happened. And they were never held accountable. It didn't really matter what happened. It didn't matter what was on camera. It didn't matter what the police report said. It just didn't matter. the worst thing that would happen was they would take a cop and just move him to another jurisdiction. That's all that happened for a long time. That was the worst thing that happened. They would rarely ever fire anybody for any sort of excessive force, anything like that. And it all came to a head in the form of George Floyd. And so people say, oh, well, it was overblown. They burned the place down. There was all these riots across the globe. Everything was crazy. But that was 50 years of oppression by the police force that had been, it was pressure that had been built up. And there was no valve. Like every once in a while, dude, every once in a fucking blue moon, some cop would get caught like finger blasting some chick in the back of the car and doing coke on the back hood or something like that, and would actually get her and like stealing a bunch of stuff out of the locker room, and then he would end up getting busted. You know what I mean? Like an actual dirty cop. Every once in a while it would happen, right? They did a lot of that. A lot of that happened on the East Coast, right? In the 70s and the 80s, a lot of the dirty cops were rooted out, right? As far as that was concerned, as far as organized crime was concerned. But after that, they tightened up. The police unions tightened up, right? And they have that, their blue wall bullshit, right? How long before he gets hit again? Oh no, Barry Wood going hard. Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Who got blocked? Somebody blocked you. Herb is DC Irish. It is, man, the whole situation. But, yeah, but who was it, though? I don't know who. It might be Herb. Herb might be a wrench. If you're going at it with Herb, it might be Herb. I think Herb is a wrench. So, EBK 303. Who's that? EBK 303. I think I know you. Going hard. Oh, man. But, you know, it seems to me like the cops got, and this has to go with correctional officers and all these motherfuckers, they got carte blanche, homie, for all these years to just do whatever they wanted to do and beat people up and smack people around and grope on bitches and steal a dope from, you know what I mean? And I probably would have been one of them. I would have been the most dirtiest cop around. It's not like I got some crazy sense of scruples or something like that. So I'd have probably been there with him. My dumb ass would have been indicted with him. I'd have been on the front page too. You know what I mean? But they were able to do this for so long. So now that they're being held to account, now that they got body cameras on all the time, now that people got cameras on them all the time, now that they're under the microscope all the time, now they're sad. You know what I mean? Now they're sad. Now nobody wants to be a cop. Now they got a staffing shortage. And that's what these people talk about too. That's what all these, every prison, every time something happens, they'll be like, oh, they caught like 30 pounds of fentanyl in this fucking prison. Wonder how that happened. And they're like, oh, we got a staffing shortage. And that's the same shit they're pulling now. That's always they got a staffing shortage. Yeah, there's been a staffing shortage. You guys could have figured that out already. We know there's a fucking staffing shortage. We've heard. You know what I mean? Everybody's going through it, homie. That doesn't mean that you know what I mean, that you just let anything happen. 5-3. Boom. Barry Whizzle. You know, I'll tell you this. Whenever I was in Burlington, Colorado, there's a prison out here in Burlington, Colorado. Burlington, Colorado is on the border of Kansas. It's on the Colorado-Kansas border. And we were in the middle of nowhere. Like, absolutely middle of nowhere, dude. There's nothing on the border of Colorado and Kansas if you've ever been there. There's no, like... the border town is called Burlington, from what I could tell. And that shit sucks. There is nothing there. There's nothing there at all. And they said they've got whatchalls in the town. There's houses in the town that if you will go out there and be a correctional officer, they will give you a job and you could live in those houses rent free. They've got like houses in the town because that's how bad they needed people to get out there. So you could go out there and work $10 an hour in this fucking city where there's absolutely nothing and get free rent. And they still couldn't get people out there. Even with free rent, free housing, they couldn't get people out there. So... Shut the fuck up. Fucking Herb. Where'd you go, Herb? Herb said, fuck. That's why Herb left. Herb was like, fuck this dude. I'm just going to block him and leave. That's funny. That's funny. Let's see, what is that? What is that? I just seen something come through. Weavis, good looking, my homie. Thank you. Hell yeah. Weavy with the Cash App. Ugh. Fuck yeah. Thank you, man. You guys are fucking awesome. I need to add my thing to my PayPal at the bottom. I need to change my PayPal. I gotta change the name on it to Gangish5555. So that's all of my things. Standardize that bitch. Boom. Diddy, I see you though. Good to see you, my homie. But this is probably, in the long run, good for Chauvin. Having the spotlight on him like this is a good thing. Because there is people who are arguing for him to get out. And the more that he is thrust into the spotlight, the more that those people will have a voice, right? Because the people who want Chauvin out, let's say there's, X amount of people. Let's say 30% of people want Chauvin out. 30% of YouTubers. Let's say 30% of YouTubers, right? So now that he's in the news, they're able to make videos and scream at the top of their lungs, hey, these are the reasons why I think Chauvin should be out. And they're able to convince more and more and more people. So, whenever they get more people, your movement grows, right? The audience grows. You gotta fake it to make it. Respectfully, you don't like a PhD? That's all right though, brother. Got a Christopher Columbus. What the fuck does that mean? Somebody else put that the other day too. That were you the one who put that, Christopher Columbus? What the fuck is that? What's that supposed to mean? I don't know what that means, bro. It's funny. Like, it's funny. I understand it. Like Christopher Columbus, I understand that, and it's funny. But I don't really know. I don't get the joke. I don't get the joke other than it just sounds funny, dog. If there's anything more to it than that, I don't understand. What's wrong with the PhD, bro? I don't see a lot of other people doing shit. So it's like, I mean, I could, you know what I mean? I don't know. I like my education. It's been good. It's been like way better for me to help me understand the world. You know what I mean? Because I had a very... you got to understand, bro, that I went to prison at 18. I had done nothing but crime since like 13. Crime and gangbang since like 13. And then I didn't get out till I got out for 90 days whenever I was like 22, I think. And I was out for like 90 days. And then I went back in until I was 26, almost 27. And then was basically just back in, out for a couple months, back in, out for a couple months, back in. And so my view of the world was fucked up, dog. Everybody, all my contacts, all my references were gangbangers. I didn't have anybody else. That's all I knew. That's all I knew was drug dealers and gangbangers. I had no credit built up. At 27 years old, I had no credit. Had never had credit, never had a license, never had anything. If I had a job, we just robbed it. You know what I mean? We just found ways to like rob it. So my views on the world were fucked. I didn't understand the world at all. I didn't understand much other than crime. You know what I mean? And so I'm glad I went to school. It's good that I went to school. And I got to learn how much, the one of the main things that school's taught me is how much I really don't know. How ignorant I could be at times. You know what I mean? So I like school. I know that some people don't. I know that people feel certain ways about it. They look at it. And, but I'll tell you this, you know, the average philosophy major that graduates makes like 80 grand a year, 80, 90 grand a year. And it's philosophy. People aren't hiring them to philosophize about shit. People are hiring them to figure out problems because philosophers know how to think. They know how to solve problems. That's what philosophy is about. It's about explaining the things in the world that we don't understand, right? So if you're not getting what you want out of your education, you need to look at your commitment, right? Because if you chose fucking gender studies or some fucking weenie ass shit that doesn't pay anything and nobody's going to pay you to do, and you just took it because it was really easy, that's kind of your fault, homie. You didn't challenge yourself. You know what I mean? I work myself to the bone. I work myself till I can barely fucking stay awake sometimes on this schoolwork and all kinds of shit. I got to wake up in the morning and do it again. I got to start this coding shit that I've been neglecting for the last couple days. And I'm constantly on the verge of not being able to hang on. Put it that way. Because that's where growth happens. You know what I mean? That's where growth happens as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? Now, growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. You got to push past that. So, I like it. You know? Oh. I have read the 48 Laws of Power. I think it's a great. It's you gotta do something. You know what I mean? I do like. I understand what people are talking about whenever they have criticisms in college, and there's a bunch of people in college that shouldn't be there, and the professors know that. I've seen that. I know it, and I've called the professors on it, and I've pressed them about it. They know there's a bunch of people who shouldn't be there, but the money's there. The money's there, and it keeps the colleges running, and it comes from the federal government, and it comes on automatic because of LBJ's Higher Education Act that said everybody should have a chance to go to fucking community college if they want it. That money comes, period. The money is going to be there. So they look at it like, what are they going to do? Are they going to forsake this money? Or are they going to, you know, look a gift horse in the mouth, right? They're just going to keep taking the money. They're going to keep their job, shut their mouth, and keep taking the money. And the what you call is the consequence is there is students who will travel through 4-year degrees doing the bare minimum, and they will come out the other side half fucking useless. And that's just real. There's no way around that. It's got to do with what you put in. My degree is not some big, heavy fucking degree. And I don't know half the shit that I know because of my degree. I know half the shit that I know because I took the time to pursue different things and different avenues and go see what was out there. They would show me a little something. This is what happens is the college shows me a little something and says, check this out. This is HTML. Here's a little language. Go play with it. And then I take that and I go run with it. And I go find whatever else it does and what it can connect to and how I can use it with plugins and all this other shit. Right? So that's on me now to learn. They just hand you the little tool. They handed me the tool of Adobe Premiere Pro 4 years ago. In school, in college. Whenever I took one of my first classes, they said, oh, it was a basic video editing class. They said, here you go. And they gave me Premiere Pro. And I took Premiere Pro, and now I have a channel, a YouTube channel that's monetized, right? So I took one little class that they gave me and turned it into something else. So if you want to go to college and do the bare minimum, you'll get. That's what you're going to get, homie. If you're going to maximize, if you're going to go there and maximize your potential, it really doesn't matter what degree you have. I swear to God, homie, it don't. There should be a lot less focus on what degrees people have. You know what I mean? Because we kind of try to specialize people, but the fact is, most people aren't getting jobs in the degrees that they're getting shit in. So if I'm not going to get a job as in that fucking field anyway, why are we hyper-focused in that field? Why don't we learn a broad spectrum of shit that's actually useful? That's my personal opinion. Boom, Mr. Diddy. Thank you, my homie. I appreciate you. Good looking. Good looking. Ireland is tired of the illegal immigration. You guys are over it or what? Trying to tarnish the image? They burned Dublin. I did see something about that. Oh shit, Bigfoot coming through. Bam. Uh-oh. Bigfoot. Good looking, my homie. Thank you. Good looking. Thank you guys, man. All proceeds are going towards building a curriculum. Right? Building a curriculum. I got to go back to school here. What do we got to go back to school? I got to go back and button everything up. Everything's got to be in by like the 10th or the 11th. Yeah. We got another case study to do. Boom. Front of an elbow. Weavis, I still got you on the docket for that for hooking up that camera to that iPhone too, or that iPad too. We're gonna do that. I played with the application last night. The application works. That's the thing with iPads, homie. Everything is either a piece of hardware or an application, or a piece of hardware and an application. It's either one or the other. It's always one or the other. You know? What the hell does that mean? Eel? Passing Walmart. Walmart ain't no joke, homie. I'm telling you. So the Walmart that is in my neighborhood that I live by is like, that motherfucker's kind of vicious, homie. Like a couple people die in that Walmart every year. Put it that way. Like in the Walmart, in the parking lot, the pigs keep killing people. Come to think of it, I didn't even think about that. That's kind of relevant to right now. The pigs keep killing people in the parking lot over here. They killed somebody a couple months ago. Some fool had a gun, was running around the parking lot over there with a gun at the Walmart. I'm telling you, this Walmart is something else, dog. And there's like some standard ones that like live over there. I think they live around the Walmart or something like that. Just crazy people. That's where my wallet got stolen like a month and a half ago too. And they were running around that same parking lot, running up my credit cards, running up my fucking debit cards. I mean, it's like, you motherfuckers. This fool spent $300 at Harbor Freight on a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? Fuck the police. Anyway, my friends, I'm probably about to call this bitch at night. Bam. Call this bitch at night. We're going to do it tomorrow. We're going to do it tomorrow with Weavy, I think. We're going to do a technical something tomorrow night with Weavy. If so, I'll post it ahead of time. I'll post the thumbnail and it'll be up for a couple hours ahead of time before I go live. But I gotta whatchamacallit tomorrow. I need to go get some floss. I haven't flossed for like 4 or 5 days. And I'm not that type of dude. I don't get down like that. I'm a floss every day type of dude. You know what I mean? And you know if you're a floss every day type of dude and then you don't floss for like 4 or 5 days because you out of floss, it feels disgusting. I feel like a hobo right now. That's how I feel. I seen a dude run from the cops. Hell yeah. I see my homeboy run from the cops and get tased and then shit on himself whenever they tased him. That fool was running and they hit him. That fool fucking shit his pants, dog. It was bad. That shit was bad. Anyway, my homies, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you, everybody, for donating. And thank you, my channel members, man. Shout out to my channel members and my newest channel member, Jan P., who subbed up yesterday. Good looking out. Shout out to Wesley Mitchell, Jan P., Bigfoot, Vegas Profile Stories. I still want to say Vegas Prison Stories. Vegas Profile Stories. We Was Wolves. Puke Face. Shout out to Puke Face. Always in the house. Stephen Beath. Good looking. Shout out to my channel members. I appreciate you. And shout out to everybody who subscribes, everybody who watches, shares, and everybody who donates, man. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. And you guys are the reason that I'm going to be on here more because I need the help, man. I need the help so I can stay on this motherfucker and build this goddamn channel. Get this thing done. Because building my channel and then working 40 hours and now trying to find a damn job out of nowhere and all this other shit, it was like, God damn, something got to give here. Anyway, man, I need to stop smoking. Hey, brother, you know if you go at it with her, don't you have a what you call? Now, I don't know if I ever gave Barry Wood a wrench. Anyway, later, my friends. I appreciate you. Tomorrow, I'll see y'all tomorrow.